There we go. This should be working better now. Hopefully you can hear me. I apologize for that. Okay. I'm just having a hard job putting my mic in the right place so it's not interfering with what I see. And there we go. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay. I'm almost ready. I apologize here. Just having slight difficulty. I thought something was done and it wasn't done. Okay. And that should be done now. Ooh. Let me see. Nope. Yes. Okay, it's done. So perfect. Let me get going there. Perfect. Okay. So thank you very much there. So I wanted to wish you all a happy, huge New Year and welcome to the first live stream of 2026 here on How We Got Genealogy. And for you who don't know me, I'm Brian, and it's fantastic to be back with you here today. I hope your holidays were restful and you're as ready as I am to hit the ground running with some incredible family history discoveries. So we're starting this year with the bank. Today isn't just a regular Q&A, it's our 2026 roadmap session. I've been busy behind the scenes looking at how I can make this channel even more helpful for your research, and that starts with a more consistent way for us to connect. So I actually have our full content calendar ready to show you. We have some heavy hitters coming up, including a deep dive into finding survivors of the Halifax explosion in the records, and that's going to be on January 6th. And the foreign going to do a second look at the foreign Protestants of Nova Scotia on the 20th of January. Plus, I'm particularly excited about our January podcast on the 21st, where we'll be exploring using DNA on 21st on Spotify, where we'll be using exploring using DNA to find a loyalist ancestor, and that will be then uploaded the following Monday, the 26th of January, to YouTube. But as I was setting these goals for the channel, I realized that sorry, here you go. I'm just, when I was setting these goals, I realized that the best thing I can do for you this January is to help you set your own. So genealogy can be overwhelming, and if you don't have a plan, so today we're going to be focusing on how to set smart research goals for 26. I'll be taking your questions live every live stream to help you break through those brick walls and you've been staring at. And if you haven't had sent your question in, you can head over to https://ask@howwegothere.ca. So I'm going to put that link right up here in 1 second here. Just changing a quick thing. So you'll see that down on there now. So just grab a coffee or whatever your drink of choice is, and look. We're going to look the road ahead and start making 2026 the year your ancestor stories finally come to life. Okay. So the theme for today is, and really it's for whole year, is intentionality. So we're not going to just search for our ancestors this year. We're going to find them using a roadmap for 2026. So, and that's not really the best position for that. So let's switch it up and do this. Or maybe even this. Okay. So here we are at the beginning of the year, January 1st. So as I said, we're not just searching for our ancestors. We're going to find them by using a roadmap. So 2026 is the year we move from being overwhelmed by records to being masters of our own research goals. So now, why intentionality? Well, think about how we usually do genealogy. We have a spare hour. Oh, yes. And one of the things is, if you'll notice, this live stream is on Thursday, not just because it is New Year's Day, and it's at a later time because I'm switching things up, and this is going to be part of my 2026. I'm starting it out. I'm hopefully be able to carry it out throughout the year, is doing my live streams at 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Atlantic, where I'm located, on Thursday nights. So, and speaking about intentionality, that's part of the reason I changed that is, if you think about how we usually do genealogy, we have a spare hour on Saturday or over the weekend, a few hours. So we log into a site and we start clicking those shaking leaves or scrolling through hints. Before we know it, that hour's gone, and we've looked at 4 different families and we haven't actually solved the problem we started with. So often we're reactive instead of proactive. So in 2026, I want us to flip that script, and being intentional means that before you even turn on your computer, you know exactly which person you're going to be looking for and what record type you need and why you believe it exists. It's about quality over quantity. I'd rather you find one solid land record that proves a parentage than collect 50 possible hints that just clutter your tree. So I want to just check the pulse of the people that are here watching. So in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is I just click whatever pops up, and 10 is I have a color-coded, very intentional research plan. So how intentional has your research been lately? There's no judgment. We're all friends here. I find, well, I probably strive normally to be around the 6 or 7 often. When I'm doing research in my own family, it sometimes can get away, and it's easy to fall into the not so intentional. I might start out with a good idea, but you get sent on those paths. And you look at the image up here. This is a Google map, and I think one of the things you notice in Google Map is often they'll give you different route options, and the difference can sometimes be on a trip that would normally take 6 hours. If you choose the wrong route, you could be taking 7-8 hours, and you might not really get to where you're going. So the connection to the identifier, when we're intentional, we aren't just collectors of names, we are storytellers. When you focus on one ancestor with intention, you start to see the context of their life. You see economic pressure that forced them out of the Scotland Highlands, or the specific pull of a New Brunswick land grant. That is how we find the how we got here in our ancestors. This year, my goal is to give you specific tools like the ones we'll discuss for the 1803 Selkirk settlers or the foreign Protestants to make that intentional research easier. We're moving away from the shotgun approach and moving towards a laser focus. By the way, so as you walk through this roadmap today, I want you to make a mental contract with yourself. Commit to being the master genealogist of your own family. Don't let the algorithms dictate your research. You dictate the research to the algorithms. We're going to spend this year uncovering truth one intentional step at a time. And that's my main goal for this channel this year. As I said, to do things being more intentional. And so, yeah, like I said, the philosophy of the move, now that you heard me mention the move to Thursday nights, I want to explain why that matters for you and your research. Like I said, if you're like me and you spend your work week thinking about your ancestors, but you don't actually get to open the files until the weekend, by meeting on Thursday, we create a pre-flight check, a pre-flight checklist, so to speak. We can look at the records, troubleshoot your brick walls, and get you focused on, so that when Saturday morning rolls around, you aren't wasting time wondering where to start. So the strategic focus for this channel in 2026 is all about depth. While we'll cover broad Canadian history, my primary focus remains helping you navigate the complex migrations of Scottish and Irish ancestors and their footprints in Atlantic Canada. Whether you're looking for landless settlers in Prince Edward Island or tracing the 1803 Selkirk settlers from Skye, we are setting up this channel to be the definitive resource for those specific, often difficult to trace stories. So, if you're here from Ontario, just shout that out in the chat. Or if you're from the East Coast, let me know. Let me know where you're from, and where your ancestors made the first stop. Was it Nova Scotia? Was it New Brunswick? Prince Edward Island? How many Atlantic Canadian connections do we have here today? So part of the 2026 setup involves more than just video. To truly support your genealogy, I've integrated our website, howwegothere.ca, to serve as a hub for the records we discuss, and for those times that when you're away from the computer, maybe you're driving or out for a walk, the How We Got Here podcast on Spotify is there to provide the historical context that helps you read between the lines of the census. We are building an ecosystem here where the information meets you wherever you are. Finally, the ultimate setup for your success this year is personal support. I've made it easier than ever to get direct help. At bookings.howwegothere.ca, you can book a free 30-minute consultation with me to look at specific research hurdles you're having. Because this channel is not just a channel for you to watch, it's a community where we work together to find your ancestries and your family's place in history. So, let's look at you hear the plows here. We're New Year's Day in Prince Edward Island. It's a storm today. All right. So let's look at the spark that's going to ignite our research this month. So I'm going to show you my research calendar now. So just one second when I bring that up. And we're going to just share that again. So this is what the my channel, the plan is for this year. So let's look at this, and one second here, boom. I'm going to switch that around if I can. Let me see if that's going to do that. No, it's not. So we're going to do it this way. There. So let's look at the calendar and see what you see the calendar, but I want to tell you why these specific topics are the perfect catalyst for your 2026 goals. So on January 6th, we're diving into finding survivors of the Halifax explosion. So this isn't just a history lesson. It's a master class in tracking people through chaos. When a disaster strikes, whether it's an explosion, famine, or a famine, records get messy. Places where there's civil war, there's all kinds of reasons why these records get messy. So when disaster strikes, like I said, the records get messy. So we're going to look at how to use relief records and medical logs to find ancestors who might have disappeared from the traditional census. Then on January 20th, we're tackling the foreign Protestants of Nova Scotia. So if you have roots in Lunenburg or the surrounding areas, this is a part of your roadmap. We're tracing those founding families who brought their unique heritage to our shores. I've looked at this topic before, but I'm going to look at it a little more deeply, examining a few specific record sources. So this is about understanding the pull factors that brought people from across the Atlantic. So whether your family's part of those foreign Protestants or was something, or they're immigrants that came later, there's something that brought them to Atlantic Canada. So on the podcast, you're going to see the 21st for Spotify, and then again, like I said, Monday the 26th. I'm using DNA to find a loyalist ancestor. So this is an interesting interview I conducted before Christmas, and I've been looking forward to bringing you. I'm going to be talking with a gentleman, and he's going to be talking about how he used his some DNA results to find a little bit of the story, the pre-loyalist landing story of his ancestors. So when they were in the colonies pre-revolution. So we're going to look at it. DNA is one of the most powerful tools we have, but it can be intimidating. So he's hopefully going to break down some of his genetic matches, and through the way he approached it, hopefully he'll be able to help you understand how to use genetic matches and other tools like Y-DNA testing to confirm a lineage that might be pretty thin on paper. So it's the perfect companion to our YouTube deep dives. So I'm really curious though, which of these topics makes you want to open your family tree right now? Is it the explosion? Is it Protestant? The foreign Protestants? The pull factors, so to speak, or maybe DNA? So why these topics now? Each of these videos is designed to teach you a universal skill. Tracking survivors teaches you about disaster research. Tracing foreign Protestant teaches you about migration patterns. And the DNA podcast teaches you about scientific verification. By the end of January, your genealogy toolbox is going to be overflowing with new strategies. I'm just going to stop sharing that now. And so these videos are the catalyst for your success, but they only work if you have a place to apply them. That brings us to the most important part of today's stream, deciding which branch of your tree is going to be your focus for the next 12 months. And it's time to move from the what to the how. So the core conflict is here. When we look at the roadmap, we see exciting topics coming in next month, and there's going to be exciting topics throughout the year. But the debate starts in our heads. It's January 1st. We have New Year's energy that we all get to tackle something new, to start new projects, a fresh start. But we also have decades of brick walls. Some of us, they're staring us back in the face. So the debate usually sounds like this: do I try to find my great grandfather in Ireland, or do I finally organize those loose photos from my great aunt? Do I dive into Halifax explosion records, or do I stick to my Scottish line? So when you have too many options, we often end up doing nothing, or worse, we do a little bit of everything and make zero progress on anything. This is the genealogy trap. We feel like if we choose one branch, we are abandoning the others. But in 2026, I want to challenge you that thinking about choosing a focus for January isn't saying no to your other ancestors. It's saying yes to actually finishing a project for once. So this is a debate that often goes on, and we get distractions. I know I do. Is it the shaking leaves of the hints in ancestry, or is it getting lost in old newspaper archives? What is it for you? Is it something else? And sometimes winning this debate, to win this debate, and we have to stop trying to climb the whole tree at once. Think of your January goal as a pilot project. If you're struggling to choose, look at the calendar I showed you. If you have roots in the Maritimes, maybe your pilot project for this month is purely Atlantic Canada research. By narrowing the geographical scope, you can nail the record sets you need to learn. This reduces that brain fog that happens when you're jumping between Irish parish records and Nova Scotia land grants in the same hour. So the debate ends when the decision is made. So don't let the what ifs stop you from starting. And then, so in the next segment of the live stream today, we're going to officially break into part two and move from the thinking phase to the doing phase. We're going to pick that one ancestor and start building their specific roadmap. And I've been talking. I haven't given much chance for you guys to say anything in chat. I'm going to take a drink of water. Everybody hears me. There's no issues there. I should check that out because I've been known to ramble on before and not be heard. So I'm going to check one thing right here. Make sure that I am that you can all hear me. Perfect. My audio is coming through. So now we're going to move from the, like I said, the thinking phrase to the doing phrase. Phase, not phrase. So this is the moment that if we're thinking about it as a journey, we, in a movie, it's the point of the story where the hero leaves their home and commits to going on that journey. You think of The Lord of the Rings, or you think of the great classic Pilgrim's Progress. There's a point when they actually start the journey. For us, that means officially selecting our 2026 research focus. We're going to stop staring at the entire forest and pick that one tree we are going to climb first. So how to pick your tree, or the route that you're going to take on this roadmap. So when you're choosing your focus for January and February, I want you to pick an ancestor who meets these criteria. Do they have a clear geographical link? Now, it would be great if it's Atlantic Canada, Scotland, or Ireland. because I do have a lot of specific resources dedicated for them. In fact, I'm going to be finally releasing my course, which will be having an accompanying community that you can have participate in as well. Sometime in I'm hoping to start rolling it out sometime mid-February. It's done. I've done a little bit of testing with it, and it's a little bit more to do. So the next thing to look at is there a missing piece. Maybe it's a maiden name, a ship manifest, or a town of origin. I know this is one particular thing that is very challenging when you have your ancestors that first arrive. You might know the country that they have arrived from, and I've talked about this on live streams and in videos before, but it's getting that what community they come from in that country, because often that's unknown in this. And do they represent a skill gap? So maybe pick someone who requires you to learn something new, like how to use DNA matches or how to navigate the records that are different types of record sets that are out there. For instance, you want to use those DNA matches to match your loyalist ancestors with their siblings that stayed in the Americas, maybe in the 13 colonies, or you might want to use some of the resources I'm going to be talking about when looking into the foreign Protestants in Nova Scotia. You might be wanting to use something, learning how, and this will be covering later in the year, and as questions come up, using AI to help you analyze documents or sources. So sort of the moment of truth now, when you're thinking about that, it doesn't have to come at this moment right here on this live stream, but when you're thinking that, try to think of a name of the ancestor you're going to choose to be your 2026 heroes, or as I said before, that tree you're going to climb. By picking this one person, you aren't ignoring the rest of your tree. You're actually sharpening your tools. The strategies to use to find a landless ancestor in the 19th century Prince Edward Island are the same strategies you'll eventually use for your ancestors in Ontario or the UK. We're using this one person as our training ground to become a master genealogist. And once you have that person, that is your North Star. Every video I release this month, every podcast episode on Spotify, and every live Q&A session we do on Thursdays is now a tool for that specific ancestor. We've broken out of the debate, and we've crossed the road, and we're officially on the road. We're to use the Google Maps image that I had up there earlier. We've started our journey. Now you've picked them, that hero for 2026. I want to share a story about why this works. In every good story, there's a subplot, a B story that teaches the hero the lessons they need to win. So my B story happened a few years ago when I was completely stuck on a branch of my own family from the Scottish Highlands. It was doing exactly what I told you not to do. I was searching everything, everywhere, all at once. I was looking at census records in Scotland, passenger lists, and land records across Atlantic Canada, just hoping that something would pop. So the lesson I learned, and it wasn't working, and I felt like I was failing my ancestors. So I decided to stop. I nailed that focus to just one specific event. Their arrival in Cape Breton. So I stopped looking at the whole of Scotland and started looking only at the area where they were from. By narrowing my world, the records started to speak. I found that when you think like a master genealogist and look at the cluster family, the neighbors and the kin, the, the, the identity of that one person you're looking for finally emerges. The experience is the foundation of how we got here. Genealogy's philosophy. It's why our roadmap for January includes such specific topics like the foreign Protestants or the Halifax explosion survivors. We're learning to look at the small stories to solve the big mysteries. My B story taught me that focus isn't a limitation, it's a key. And that's exactly what we're going to do with the names that you've chosen, those ancestors you've chosen to focus on this year. So the lessons of the B story are pretty simple. When you focus, you find. Now, let's take that lesson and turn it into a practical plan. We're going to move into, we'll call it our goals workshop. So, in a story, this next part is sort of where the hero explores the new world and tests out tools they have. You all remember, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, when they were in Riverdale and they got different gifts and they were sort of the hobbits got they each got different gifts that they were able to use. So we're going to look at those names that we're thinking of, those ancestors we're thinking about, and we're going to turn them into SMART genealogy goals. I don't know if you know about SMART goals. I'll go into that in a future video specifically on that, on goal setting as well. But let's look at the difference between a goal that stalls and a goal that succeeds. That's where we're going to start with. So a bad goal is, I want to find my Irish ancestors. This is pretty big. It's a big, overwhelming goal, and maybe that is a long-term, wide goal of our whole genealogy, or a good part of our genealogy research that we want to conduct over many years. But a good goal would be, I want to find the county of origin for Patrick Murphy in the 1851 census of New Brunswick by the end of February. See what we did there? We gave it a name, a specific record type, a location, and a deadline. And that's how you break through a brick wall. So I call this my 3-step mission method. So to make this work in 2026, I want you to break your ancestor into 3 simple missions. Mission 1, the foundation. Organize everything you already know. No new searching. Check your dates and citations. So that's part 1 of the mission. The mission 2, use one of our January catalyst topics like the foreign Protestants or the Halifax explosion records to look for them in a new way. And again, they might not be part of those events, but by looking at the stories I'll be covering in those videos, talk about the methodology and the use of different records that are there. And then, so we have your start with your foundation, then you do your deep dive. And then mission 3 is verification. Maybe you'll learn something about DNA strategies through my podcast that you can apply, or historical context that proves the theory that your theory you have about them is correct. By setting these missions, you aren't just doing genealogy, you're conducting an investigation. You are the detective and the records are your witnesses. Now that we have our missions, let's take a look at where we are in our roadmap. So we've kind of reached the midway point. And keeps doing that to me. So if we're on here, we're somewhere around here. And again, this is the whole year, but we're going to break down into sections. So at the midway point of hopefully this live stream, because I've been on here 40 minutes, I plan on going maybe another 45 more. I planned on maybe 90 minutes today. So we've reached the midpoint of this live stream. And then think of a story. In any great story, the midpoint is where the stakes are raised. For us, this is where the roadmap gets real. We've talked about the how and the why, but now I want to show you the what. So this year at How We Got Genealogy, How We Got Here Genealogy, we're leaning into the stories that are often forgotten or buried in the archives. And we aren't just looking for names on pages or dates. We're looking for the human experience. The Halifax explosion, sneak peek into it, it's going to be our first big deep dive of the year. It drops on January 6th. And this is not the exact title, but this is the subject is finding the survivors of the Halifax explosion. So in that, I'm going to give you a quick first look at what I've uncovered. So while many people focus on the casualty list, there's a whole world of survivor records, relief committee notes, medical reports from temporary hospitals, and even lost and found property logs that act as a gold mine for genealogy. If you have an ancestor who lived in Halifax or Dartmouth in 1917, and then seemed to reset their life, this video is going to show you how to find them specifically. But it's also going to be if there's any type of your ancestors were at any place during a war, a significant fires, events, it's going to help you to look at finding some of those records, and if there's specific disasters, look at what records might be available, and hopefully get you thinking in different ways. So this video is just a beginning. So whether you're tracing Acadian roots, finding the landless ancestors in PEI, or following like I said, the Selkirk settlers, the stakes for 2076 are about accuracy and depth. We're moving beyond the easy records. We're going to go into records that require a different type of eye. So we've seen the high stakes and the exciting content is waiting for us on my channel. But to get to those discovery, we have to acknowledge the obstacles that stand in their way. So this is the part of the movie where, you know, the bad guys are closing in on our hero. So as we head into the second half of this stream, let's talk about the bad guys. Like I said, in every story, this is where the pressure mounts and the villains start to close in. In genealogy, the villains aren't people. They are habits and hurdles that derail our progress. The first major villain is shiny object syndrome. So you know the feeling. You sit down to find a Scottish birth record, but a shaking leaf pops up from a distant cousin off Australia, and 3 hours later, you've made zero progress on your 2026 goal. The data villains. Then we have the unverified hint villain. It's so tempting to just click the add to tree when a hint matches a name without checking the source. So you're building a house. When you do that, you're building a house on sand, and that leads to the ultimate bad guy, the brick wall. These walls often exist because we've accepted a wrong piece of data 3 generations back. So in 2026, we are going to defeat these villains by being methodical and detail oriented. So if you're watching this live in the chat, you know, or you're watching this on the replay, I know I do it. In fact, just last night I came across, I was having people over for New Year's, and I was looking for something specifically to show them in a point of my family history. I was talking with them. Yeah, I have a whole dresser, an old dresser in my antique dresser. My uh, people have a drunk drawer. This is my drunk dresser, and actually, I recently got the second one, so now I have two. It's where I keep a lot of the actual artifacts besides the records. So I'll keep, for instance, this is something I pulled out. This is my grandfather's World War II pay book. I have that. I have other type of items that that we have. We all have them. I mean, who doesn't? If you have one, it could be your download folder. Maybe you have all kinds of records downloaded, but you really haven't taken the time to organize them, to go through them methodically. So now there's this other villain that I haven't talked about yet, and that's the villain of limited access. Sometimes the records aren't online, or maybe they're behind a paywall. This is why our roadmap is so important. We're going to look at creative strategies to finding ancestors in Atlantic Canada and beyond. Strategies that go beyond the manifest and the census. We're going to use land records, church registers, and even local newspaper snippets to find our way around these barriers. So at this point, the bad guys are closing in. But if we don't stay vigilant, they're going to steal our research time. If we let them win, we hit that point where it feels like everything is lost. So that brings us to our next subject, the permanent brick wall. So in every great story, there's a moment where the hero feels defeated. The all is lost. Like in Genealogy, that this is that Saturday afternoon where you've spent 6 hours searching for a single marriage record. You've exhausted every spelling variation of a surname, and you still have nothing to show for it. It's that feeling that your ancestors simply didn't want to be found, or the records you need were lost in a fire or a shipwreck decades ago. It feels like the end of the road for that branch of your tree. So this is the point where most people close their laptop and don't open it again for months. It's a common challenge. We all faced it at one time or another. Limited access to records, or the sheer frustration of navigating complex resources. Often the silence of the archives can be deafening. It's a heavy feeling, and I want to acknowledge that it's okay to feel stuck. But at that all is lost moment in a good story, that it's really dangerous because it makes us believe that the story is over. How many great stories could have ended at that point? So if we start to think about how we got here, it's a question that will never truly be answered. But usually the reason we are stuck isn't that the information doesn't exist. It's that we're looking at the wall instead of looking for a door. We're using the same old search patterns and getting the same old results. When everything feels lost, it's a sign that the current strategy has reached its limit. We have to sit with that frustration for a moment before we can find that spark to try something completely different. So you think in the story, often in a story, you have this moment where the heroes are giving up, and it's that moment where sometimes they're brutally honest with themselves, but this is where we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. if we keep doing exactly what we did in 2025 and did in 2024 and 2023, or whenever we started searching the same databases with the same spelling of the same names, we're going to be sitting here on January 1st, 2027 with the exact same frustrations. So we have to admit that our current method has reached its limit. So this isn't about working harder, it's about thinking differently. It's the shift from being a searcher to being a researcher. To get past this, we have to let go of the idea that there's a magic button on a website that will solve our tree. And I've seen so many people, and I've had lots of clients that have basically used the ancestry hint as that magic button, and it's caused, or the whatever it is on the different sites that they're using to compile the records. So we need to adopt what I call universal lessons from the work of Terry Punch. So, and that's thinking like a master genealogist. If you don't know Terry Punch, he's actually probably, I want to say, one of in Atlantic Canadian genealogy. He was an authority for a number of years into in doing research. I'll be talking specifically about him. Some point this year, I'm planning on doing a deep dive into Terry Punch and his work, and the lessons, specifically the lessons that we can learn from him. So what this means, we got to move away from that all is lost feeling by looking at the historical context. Why did that family leave the Isle of Skye in 1803? What were the legal requirements for land in Prince Edward Island at that time? When we stop looking for a name and start looking for a life, the records begin to open up in ways we never expected. So this year we're committing to a different path. We're going to read between the lines of those Canadian census records. We're going to stop letting the challenges like limited record access or DNA confusion stop us. And instead, we're going to use them as stepping stones. That feeling of being lost is over, because in 2026, we've decided that it's the year to change our strategy. So you aren't just a descendant, you are a family historian, and you are going to start taking control. You know, they say that it's always darkest before the dawn. And so we faced the frustration. We've identified the need for a new mindset. And now we're ready to sort of step up into a solution. And we're going to see how we're going to win this year. So we faced the bad guys, survived that dark night, and now we're emerging into a battle plan. The solution isn't just a new search technique, it's the how we got here community. You aren't researching in a vacuum anymore. Starting tonight, you have a support system that includes our new Thursday night live tradition, the deep dive tutorials, and the How We Got Here podcast on Spotify, or if you watch it on YouTube. So we're climbing your personal goals with our collective expertise to make 2026 the year of the breakthrough. And part of that is going to be my community. There'll be more about that in the coming days, but that's going to be a source for people that are involved here. If you're not a member on YouTube, I encourage you. That's a good step to take in supporting me, but a first step in becoming part of the community. So the final plan for 2026. So our plan for this year is simple, and it's powerful. We're going to master one specific region or record set at a time, whether it's the founding Lunenburgers of families of Lunenburg, the Selkirk settlers, those your ancestors were refugees from due to clearance. We're going to provide you with historical context and modern DNA strategies to verify links in the chain. That's the master path that we're going to talk about. We're moving forward with laser focus on your hero ancestor, supported by a roadmap that ensures no one gets left behind in the archives. The reason this works is that we're all looking at similar records. If you're stuck on a Scottish line, chances are someone else has already navigated that specific type of record, or are coming across similar issues while looking up Irish or Welsh or German records. So we're going to use our live Q&A sessions that I have on Thursdays to crowdsource solutions. We're going to use the community. I'm going to be providing you tools where you'll be able to engage with each other. And we're going to share those aha moments with each other. My goal is to be your guide. Because together we're all researchers. We're turning, so if we work together as researchers together, we're turning our individual brick walls into a shared library of success. Because often somebody might have the answer to how they tackled a brick wall similar to that you've approached. So the roadmap is clear. The community is ready, and the plan is set in motion. So we have everything we need to succeed. Now let's take this energy and apply it to your actual questions. So this is the part of the live stream where I'm going to take any questions that anybody has. If you've asked them in the using that form, you can. I'll be taking a look at it in a second. Right now, I'm going to open up the chat for questions if anybody has anything. And I don't expect necessarily you may or may not have something you're looking at, the question you're needing to have answered. So I don't see anything from the form, but I just put this up earlier this week. It is on every of my videos. If there's questions, you can always go to ask.howwegothere.ca. And it doesn't have to be during a live stream. It can be anytime. And I might not get it to you, that answer, at the next immediate live stream, or it might be possibly something I do an entire video on if it's something that I feel is important or of interest, that I can work to share and help more people. And you can always ask on these live streams every week. There's a chance for you in the chat to ask questions. That's what I want to do. I want to be that guide and help answer those. You can use the my bookings for a free consultation, and when my community is set up, I'm going to be inviting you to come and join that community. So working through this, we're at the point in, if this live stream, like I said, is just like our research is a story, it's the finale. Then this is the point we're all waiting for, the big finish. So every great story, this is where the hero puts their new skills to the test to overcome that final hurdle. If you're a gamer, think of it as, you attack all the minions and you finally get to that boss. So for us, that means taking those specific hero ancestors you identified and applying our 2026 roadmap to them. We're going to dive into some questions. Sorry. So yes, so far we've covered a lot of ground today in this. I haven't seen your questions. I know I put a lot out there on you all at once. So we've set our mission. So we have identified what some of the villains that we're going to be facing are. So I want you to know you're no longer just searching. You are researching with intention. Remember, intentionality is our focus. You have a roadmap. and hopefully I've been able to provide you with some momentum to get started. So I didn't see, like I said, any questions there in the forum. So as a wrap up this very first live stream, I want you to take one last look at my calendar. I'm going to share it again here. 1 second here. So you see that the calendar up here? So this isn't just a list of videos, it's a commitment to your ancestors. So if you came here to watch this live or you're watching this on replay after, think about your hero ancestor and think about the plan that you're going to leave to find them. Whether you're tracing survivors of the Halifax explosion or searching for foreign Protestants in Lunenburg, or whatever the case may be, you now have the mindset of a master genealogist. The final charge for 2026 is going to be a year of incredible discovery for this community. We have the roadmap. We have our new Thursday night tradition at 8 p.m. Atlantic, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we have each other. Don't let the bad guys of distraction or those dark feelings of defeat, a brick wall, stop you. You are the one who carries your ancestor stories forward. It's time to turn your intentionality into action. So if you're ready to start your research right this second, I highly recommend clicking on my Atlantic Canada Genealogy playlist or Scottish Heritage series, or that you can find on my main YouTube page. These videos, they're designed to give you those creative strategies you need to find the ancestors who've been hiding from you for years. So I want to thank you for spending part of New Year's Day with me or watching this afterwards. And don't forget to visit howwegothere.ca for more resources. I'll be putting up regular blog posts as well as on my other social media. I'll be having, you can check me out on Instagram or Twitter, or X, I should say. Where I do put out different resources of information throughout the week, and this is something I say at the end of my videos because it's part of the philosophy of my business, and it's something that I want you to remember that every family has a story to tell, and every story is worth exploring. So I want you to keep searching for your ancestors. Have a great week and have a great year of research in 2026. And now I'm just going to stop sharing there. And why is that doing that? It's not doing what I want. Of course, it's not doing what I want. There we go. So, again, thank you for spending the time here on New Year's Day or watching this video. It's really important. Let me know that what your plans are for 2026. Have I inspired you? Is there something that you want me specifically to look at in 2026? Put those ideas in a comment. You can use the form at ask.howwegothere.ca. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit the notification button so you'll know when new videos are up. But also look on my channel YouTube for regular. I'll be putting up my my calendar up there probably tomorrow's as a post for you to be able to go back and look at. I do want to say I do have some things going on early in this year that could be taking me away for a little bit in the end of January, February, but I'll keep you updated on that as well. these are goals for me. There's a few things I have done and completed, so they will be going out on those dates. There's some other things that are still being researched and or filmed and edited. And my goal is to have at least 2 regular videos a month, but one of the backbones is going to be these Thursday night sessions. And one thing you'll notice, they often say, all work and no play really makes for a dull genealogist. So on Thursdays, the third for Thursday of every month, I'm going to do my live stream. I've done before. I'm going to do be playing Time Guesser, and if you haven't checked out Time Guesser, it's an interesting game. You look at an image and you're trying to determine where and when that was taken, and hopefully through that it will spur some discussion about some of the events that are in the photos, but also it is a great way of learning how to examine photographs and figure out what different people from different eras or different places, what type of clothing, what type of things you see in the background that you might see in the background of images, what the buildings, cars, other tools and stuff might look like, and that can be useful in when you have old family pictures and you're trying to identify who might actually be in that picture by sort of learning how to read some of those things to get an error. It can just, and it's like I said, it's just something to make us a little more fun. I'm hoping to have guests throughout the year on those third Thursdays. I don't know for the first one I will, of other genealogists and historians to not just make it about the game, but also make it a talk about genealogy or history with them. So thank you for joining. You have a great day. And like I said, keep searching for your ancestors. This year you're going to find them, and you're going to find them by being intentional.